than 200 Republicans who worked for three of the most recent GOP nominees prior to former President Trump are now endorsing Vice President Kamala Harris.
The Kamala campaign are super excited that they've got what you might call legacy Republicans like Bush or Romney staffers or McCain staffers. John McCain, God rest his soul, of course, is dead. But they're excited by the idea that sort of centrist Republicans are in support of their movement. But what is their movement about? What does it stand for? What does it mean? You know that my position is that the greater threat to America and therefore the world is not the idea of the populist strongman who many liberals, many members of the metropolitan professional classes that are so influential in media are coaching us to fear. No, it's a far greater threat, the threat of technological feudalism, where you're being told that you will be protected, that in order to protect you, we have to censor this information. In order to protect you, you have to go inside your homes. In order to protect you, you have to trust their propaganda, that this billionaire is good and this billionaire is bad. And in this instance, it's necessary to take someone off the ballot. And in this instance, it's impossible to take someone off the ballot. We are beginning to see in real, livid, lurid time the nature of their hypocrisy. It cannot be concealed forever. That's why it's important to remember that Barack Obama was a candidate that I was excited by, a brilliant orator, a charismatic leader. But how did he behave? How did he vote? What did he stand for? Was he, as some have said, truly the representative of financial elites who used many of his God-given abilities to serve those interests? Let's look at Chris Hedges' analysis before looking at how the Democratic Party movement is using the endorsement of legacy Republicans and legacy Republican staffers to bolster their appeal, perhaps precisely because they are losing the propaganda war. Let's look at what first of all, what Chris Hedges says. It's pretty damning and forthright.
Why are so many progressives and leftists going for Kamala? You know, a fear of Trump because they're swayed by the bombardment of propaganda. A lot of it's woke politics because she's a woman of color, although, you know, we should have gotten over that with Obama, who, as Cornel West said, was just a black mascot for Wall Street. She was a cop, basically, and served the interests of law enforcement when she was Attorney General in California. When Obama ran, Dennis Kucinich printed out and gave me a copy of Obama's voting record. And he said, you got to read this because it's every corporate giveaway that's possible. And Dennis said that when he went to go to baseball games in Cleveland, the ushers would go up and down and he would say, get the scorecard, get the scorecard. He said, that's the scorecard. This is the scorecard. This is all that matters. All the hundreds of millions of dollars they invest in propaganda is essentially an effort to divert you from looking at the scorecard. And her scorecard's abysmal. That's, of course, why she's been anointed.
Extraordinary scorecard. Yeah, how have they been governing? What does it make you feel when Biden, remember that guy, says we beat Big Pharma this year, and what he's actually referring to is limited price controls on a particular set of medicines? How do you feel that the pandemic era has already been ushered off into the deep annals of barely accessible memory? Don't you think in a sane and sensible society, this would be seen as a referendum, this forthcoming election, on the pandemic? Don't you think that we should be able to hold on to the memory of the propaganda, the censorship, the deception, the lies, the authoritarianism, the plainly global hue of the top-down authority? And if it was just a one-off example that would make sense in the context of a pandemic, you know, a pandemic is a global issue and requires a global response, then what do you imagine is happening in censorship, which similarly appears to be being maneuvered and manipulated at the global level? What's happening in agriculture when it seems that the control of our food is also happening at a global level, when farmers are being impoverished and broken down, when farmland is being acquired, when it seems to me, although it would be difficult, it's taking a little while to demonstrate entirely, that our food sources, seeds, nature herself are being colonized and plundered and controlled. It's important to listen to significant voices like Vandana Shiva, an important voice in that topic, as surely as Kali Means has become a great influence when it comes to openness and transparency in the food industry. Let's have a look now at how certain legacy Republicans' endorsements is being used as if it's a powerful boost to the Democratic Party campaign, to the Kamala campaign, as if we should somehow forget that the names Bush, Cheney, et al. Were once redolent with blood and the deceptions of weapons of mass destruction that were never found. Here's a post by David Sachs on X. George W. Bush, McCain and Romney lied us into Iraq and pointlessly killed 5 million in those wars. It could be the most disgusting thing the US has ever done. The fact these warmongers support Harris should tell you everything. Democrats are the party of unjust government power. By supporting our partners, you're supporting our content. Let me ask you a serious question. Do you ever wonder what happened to martial arts legend and film star Chuck Norris? Chuck Norris is 81 now. He's still active. He's strong. He's kicking ass. He feels like he's in his 50s. How can this be possible? Chuck's made a video that explains this extraordinary story, and you can watch it by visiting chuckdefense.com/brand. Click the link below to watch this video now. It's going to change the way you think and feel, not only about Chuck Norris, which is invitation enough, but about your own health and about your own ability to age with vitality, vigor, strength, and potency. So go to chuckdefense.com/brand and watch this video now. You're not going to believe how simple it is. Chuck's 81 years old. Chuck focused on 3 simple things that sabotage the body as we age. Watch his method. Click the link in the description. chuckdefense.com/brand. This is going to blow your mind and knock your socks off. I want my socks left on. You're going to lose your socks. Let's go back to the content. And let's have a look at a legacy media piece of reporting on these endorsements.
Okay, more than 200 Republicans who worked for 3 of the most recent GOP nominees prior to former President Trump are now endorsing Vice President Kamala Harris, yes, the Democrat. In a letter, the 238 Republicans, which includes staffers from former President George W. Bush's White House and Senators John McCain and Mitt Romney's presidential campaigns, urge more moderate Republicans and independents to, quote, take a brave stand once more. The group builds on a smaller set of about 150 Republicans who pledged to support then-candidate Biden back in 2020. And it comes after a Democratic convention that included conservatives like former Congressman Adam Kinzinger speaking to common values that transcend party. The letter further states, quote, of course, we have plenty of honest, ideological disagreements with Vice President Harris and Governor Walz. That's to be expected. The alternative, however, is simply untenable. At home, another 4 years of Donald Trump's chaotic leadership, this time focused on advancing the dangerous goals of Project 2025, will hurt real, everyday people and waken our sacred institutions.
Project 2025 and our sacred institutions. Why don't you forget that you're alive and consume all of their ablutions, washing away your intelligence with the soap of their propagandist lies? So odd, isn't it, that they continue to amplify hysteria, which is the only state in which you would consider imbibing this Kool-Aid Kamala campaign, which seems built not on substance, not on policy, only the relentless advancement of authoritarianism in a materialistic and godless attempt to defibrillate further the idea that superficial indicators of equality ought be enough for you. And for many people, it seems like it is enough to say that this is a woman of colour. And like I've said to you before, all things being equal, that would be a kind of indication of a certain type of progress. That would be great. But surely we can all now see that what we are being invited to perpetuate are institutions that use a very, very powerful word like sacred in order to mask its insidious opposite: total corruption, total control. Look at how the media are being used. Look at how extraordinarily compliant they are. Look how compliant they've been since the disaster of the Biden-Trump debate. How exciting the next debates will be. How extraordinary it will be to watch how that unfolds. Note how the judiciary has been exploited and deployed. Note how even an issue like who can be on ballots and who can't be on ballots. You'll note that they're saying, oh, it's impossible to get Bobby Kennedy off them ballots. You know, he's going to probably take some votes off of Trump, but that's the price of living in a free society. Cornel West, though, an independent who might take votes from them, they're scrambling and scrabbling to get that dude off the ballot. As we often observe here, there are no principles. There is only utility. There is no heartfelt, forthright, strident belief to which you can have constant recourse. What is it we believe in? Is it service? Is it kindness? Is it compassion? Is it that the word minister, like administer or prime minister or government minister, means to serve? Has the very idea of service been lost? Are we facing something far more ontologically profound as to whether or not we invoke a Republican MAGA candidate, albeit one that now is beginning to assemble an Avengers-like cast around him of decent Democrats and fine, fiery independents like Bobby Kennedy? And it's ridiculous to say that the Kennedy name has no association with the Democrat Party, particularly when you think of what the Democratic Party used to mean and what it used to represent. So what I would invite you to do is consider very carefully about who you vote for, what you watch, and what you believe in. But that's just what I think. Why don't you let me know what you think in the comments and the chat? Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to see more uncensored content where free speech can flourish, join our live stream. Click the link right here to watch the next video if you want to, or become a member of a growing movement. Download the Rumble app and you'll be informed every time we make a new piece of content. Stay free.